Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another word of the day. We are in a winter wonderland. Woohoo! Nah, I'm just joking. We're here at Hazelnut. We're enjoying the sunshine. We're enjoying the presence of God. And together, we are going to get into 1 Samuel 16:7. So if you have your Bibles or if you have your phones, let's hop right into it. Again, we are looking at 1 Samuel 16:7, where here it says, starting in verse 7, the Lord is speaking to the prophet Samuel. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. The Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." So, one of the big things in our society, whether it's, unfortunately, whether it's in ministry or even if it's related to secular careers, one of the main measures of success for us as a society is two things. Number one, how much money you are able to produce or make is one of the biggest indicators of success. For example, if someone, has a rags to riches stories, and they become a multimillionaire, we would say they're living the American dream. They are making it. Good for them. They are super successful. Or another indicator of success, number two, is the impact people have. How many views your videos get on YouTube or Facebook, or how many likes you get on social media, right? Or just how many people you're able to reach. Or in church terms, right? How many people are you able to bring into the church? Like going from a church plant that started out with maybe like 10, all of a sudden in 3 or 4 years, now it's bringing in 300, and then eventually 500, and then it becomes a church of 1,000, right? When we look at those statistics, those would be indicators of success. But let me ask you, are they actually indicators of success? Sure, they are one measure of success, but they are not the main indicator of success, at least not to the king, right? So what do I mean by this? Well, let's break it down, right? We go back to Israel. Israel, during ancient times, the period between Judges and the reign of King David, the first king of Israel was named Saul. Israel was constantly going back and forth. They'd be right with God. They'd be soaring on the high on the mountaintop, and then be going low into the valley because they disobey the Lord. They'd get distant from God, and as a result, God would lift his hedge of protection. And the next thing you know, the Israelites get taken over. They get oppressed, and then God raises up someone to deliver them, and they keep going through this endless cycle. And so finally, the leaders of Israel have this bright idea. We see all of the other nations have kings. Why don't we get a king? And of course, Samuel's the prophet who God anoints to speak to the people on God's behalf is trying to persuade the people, you don't want a king. A king will just be a dictator. They're just going to tell you how to live your life. They're going to wage wars that you don't want to fight. Are you sure you want a king? And of course, the Israelites are stubborn, right? They're like, yeah, we want a king no matter what. And finally, God just speaks to Samuel and says, give him a king. But here's the problem. God allowed the people of Israel to have their choice, their measure of success. And guess what happened? Israel got exactly what God said they'd get, a dictator, one whose heart wasn't for the Lord. Until finally, Saul was such a horrible leader that even God said, you know what? I'm tearing you down, Saul. When your time has come and you pass away, a new king will take your place. Your dynasty will not rule over Israel. I will have my choice of who I want to be on the throne. And so he sends the prophet Samuel out looking for a king. And of course, Samuel in his mind is thinking that this big, giant leader is going to be big and strong and handsome and charismatic and is going to lead Israel to victory over its enemies, right? And of course, the Lord leads Samuel to Jesse, a descendant of Boaz. And here, he's going down the line, testing each brother, and God saying, nope, not the one. Nope, not the one, even though they all look super impressive. And God is saying, Samuel, when I look at leaders that I want to put on my throne, I'm not looking at who can go out. I'm not just looking at who can go out and win a fight or who can bring prosperity to Israel, because that's not things that man can do on their own strength. I want someone who has a heart of gold, someone who is pure in heart, someone who will not be a ruler of the people, but someone who will be a servant of the people, and most importantly, someone who seeks me, someone who has a relationship with me, someone who will be a blessing to the country. And then finally, he comes upon David, and that is the man who ultimately brought success and prosperity to Israel. Why? Because when we look at the heart of David, he loved Israel. He loved God. And as a result of seeking God, God gave him wisdom and understanding and victory in battle. And it was in seeking God first and having a sincere heart to want to do the things of God that Israel became prosperous. Israel became successful. So at the end of the day, for us, I hope that we learn from this experience, that we learn from David, that we learn from Samuel, and that the true measure of a success for a church family is having a heart that is not just coming to church to come to church, but is the church that we have family. We are a family. We love the Lord. And together, we seek to bring his kingdom on earth and make a difference in our community. And when we have that mindset, when we have that attitude, guess what? Everything else falls into place. The statistics, the amazing leadership, all of it falls into place. We seek God first, and it's about our heart and not just necessarily what we think is successful. So that's just something to think about today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on today's Word of the Day. My name is Dylan. Pastor Chris will bring you an awesome word tomorrow. But until then, my friends, always remember the Lord will be with you